Hello. I'm really pleased to be here with the Deputy Prime Minister and our Finance Minister, Chrystia Freeland. I'm also joined by amazing members of Parliament, councillors, but I'll let folks introduce themselves later because I want to talk about someone really important that I've encountered just a few months ago. Her name is Juliet. She and her son lived in the same market rent apartment for many, many years. And then in 2021, her rent just went up, skyrocketed, and the landlord said, "We're selling it. You have to leave." And it wasn't just her. The entire building had to empty it out. And she was just so anxious. She got organized, connected with all her other tenants in the building. And year after year, she just kept saying, no, 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 we won't leave. And finally, she connected with an organization and discovered the City of Toronto have a fund called Multi-Unit Residential Acquisition Program. Instead of being evicted and being anxious all the time, she was able to now feel totally at home and secure, knowing that she will have forever affordable housing, rental housing. I went to visit her unit, and she was so proud of her unit that she bought new furniture, not very expensive, but color coordinated. And the sigh of relief and the pride she have of the homes that she now has because of that security, because it's now belong to her and her neighbors through an organization called Wigwam. And interesting enough, as I arrived to this building, I met a fellow called Wade, who's here with us. And he lived in a building on Gerrard Street for years. He moved in at 2007. And that Gerrard Street unit they have 20 units. And it was feeling quite unsettled because the building kept being sold. And finally, when St. Jude are able to purchase the building through the same funds called Mira, I asked him how it felt. He said, "Wow, it was great news." And the relief is phenomenal, that he will not going to be ever facing renovictions, demovictions, evictions of any kind. He can now have a secure home. You know, in Toronto, we are losing affordable housing 14 times faster than it is built. I am so grateful for the federal government and the Deputy Prime Minister today announcing the program where the tenants are going to be protected. The $1.5 billion loan and the $500,000 grant. What that means is that for people like Juliet and her son, and people like Wade and his neighbors, they're going to be able to secure their homes through land trusts or cooperatives or with an organization. They could now say, "This is going to be my permanent home. I wouldn't have to feel so insecure." We know that there's this real sense of anxiousness in all the tenants that are in Toronto, and that's 50% of the population. And with this program, the federal government, combined with yesterday's low-cost financing program that was announced by the Prime Minister and the Minister's announcement of the Housing Accelerator Fund, we are finally turning a corner. Just like spring has arrived, and it's going to be a spring full of hope, because it means the tenants and the renters and people that wants to purchase a home or to be able to afford the rent will finally begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel, because it's been hard, it's been difficult, it's been a hard journey. So this Canada Rental Protection Fund will get, excuse me, this Canada Rental Protection Fund will get housing back on track, not just in Toronto, but across the country. We can protect affordable homes, empower renters, give people the security of keeping the roof over their heads. And we are going to together build a city that's so much more affordable, safe, caring, where everyone feels they belong. So thank you, Prime Minister Freeland. Deputy Prime Minister Freeland. Whoops! I didn't say that. Erase that. Okay. Let me try this again. Thank you, Deputy Prime Minister Freeland. Allow me to introduce you, my great friend, right here. Sorry about that.
Thank you very much, Mayor Olivia. And the last time Olivia and I were together was last Friday, the Good Friday procession through my riding, which the mayor lives in. And we had done the announcement on Wednesday in Vancouver of support for renters. And then we had done an announcement on the Thursday. I was in Winnipeg of more support for childcare. And then I saw the mayor on Friday. We were walking in the procession, and she said, "I'm glad you guys are doing stuff on renters. I really hope there will be something more for affordable housing. And if there is, let's announce it together." So, Madam Mayor, here we are. Your wish is my command. Je tiens tout d'abord à souligner que nous sommes réunis sur les territoires traditionnels de nombreuses nations, notamment les Mississauga du Credit, les Anishinaabe, les Chippewa, les Haudenosaunee, et les Wendat. I am really, really glad to be back in Toronto back home in Toronto after traveling around the country a bit. This is my second Toronto housing announcement this week, which is great. Or my second Toronto announcement this week, because we announced school food on the Monday. And I'm really glad to have two of my Toronto caucus colleagues, Rob and Julie, with me. We've worked together for a long time, and housing is an issue both of them are so deeply committed to, and that really we have worked together as 416 caucus on together with the city. And it is really nice to have a city councilor, Chris, here with us too. I also want to thank Ray Sullivan and the incredible people of St. Jude Community Homes. St. Jude runs a number of community housing sites in Toronto's downtown. Today, we are at one of the buildings they operate on Parliament Street, where there are 24 affordable rental homes for women, Indigenous residents, seniors, people with disabilities, and people experiencing or at risk of homelessness. There are built-in supports here and across all the sites that St. Jude operates, like meal programs and other services to help residents with their mental health and well-being. I was really moved by our tour of this building earlier today. Annie Setien, who works here, gave us the tour, and she was really speaking, I would say, with great empathy and compassion and respect about the people who live here. And she talked about how hard she and everyone who works here tries to ensure that everyone here has the support they need to feel good about themselves, to get back on their feet, and to build a good life. She talked about things like being sure the mayor and I, and the team were shown around an apartment that someone is moving into soon. She showed us the dishes that they've bought for the person to use. And then there wasn't a pillow or a comforter on the bed. And I said, hey, Anise, like, aren't they going to need a pillow and a comforter? And she said, yeah, but we like the person to be able to choose so that they can choose what cover they have. I think that's really important. And she said, our job is to help everyone who lives here be their best self and live their best life. I think that's very powerful. I'm glad the federal government was able to support the creation of homes in this building with $1.2 million in capital funding through our Rapid Housing Initiative in 2022. I am so grateful to everyone who works at St. Jude, who supports St. Jude. We have some board members here too, for being such a strong resource for Toronto's most vulnerable residents. This is a wonderful example of the kind of community housing we need more of in Toronto and across Canada. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Because we are living in a pivotal moment, and we have a plan to help every generation of Canadians get ahead. Today, many younger Canadians feel as though the deck is stacked against them. They can get a good job. They can work hard. But far too often, the reward of a secure, prosperous life remains out of reach. What many parents and grandparents have achieved for themselves, a degree of comfort and security, that's what we want for our children and our grandchildren. We want their hard work to be rewarded, as it was for us. C'est pourquoi nous agissons dès maintenant pour bâtir un Canada qui fonctionne aussi pour les jeunes, un pays où ils peuvent progresser et où leur travail acharné porte des fruits. Premièrement, nous allons accélérer rapidement la construction de nouveaux logements dans tout le pays. Deuxièmement, nous ferons en sorte que la vie coûte moins cher. Et troisièmement, nous allons faire croître l'économie d'une manière qui profite à tout le monde. One of the biggest pressures in Canada right now, one of the biggest pressures on Canadians right now is housing. And we know that this is especially true for younger Canadians, for low-income workers, for single-parent families, for people with disabilities, for seniors on fixed incomes. These Canadians are the most in need of housing options like the kind that St. Jude provides. Community housing that is owned by charities, by not-for-profits, and private sector housing providers who can house people for below-market rents. The reality today is there are more Canadians who need these homes than what is available. Right now, community housing makes up only 4% of Canada's housing market, and that's just not enough. And some of these homes are being lost to demolition, conversion to condos, and rent increases. More are being lost than we are able to create new homes in this sector. We all need to protect our most vulnerable neighbors and ensure that they have a safe home that they can afford. And our government is taking real, concrete action to address this challenge. That's why today I am really happy to announce a new $1.5 billion Canada Rental Protection Fund. The fund will help affordable housing providers acquire existing affordable housing units and keep rents at a stable level for the long term to protect their affordability. The fund will be co-led and co-funded by the federal government and other partners. We're going to mobilize financing from the charitable sector and the private sector to protect and grow Canada's supply of affordable housing. This is the fastest way to protect and increase our affordable housing stock. And we know that this approach works because British Columbia launched a similar program, the BC Rental Protection Fund, last summer. Since applications for the BC Rental Protection Fund opened in July of last year, more than 2,000 homes have begun moving into community ownership. To me, that is a great proof point, and we need to see that happening across the country. The City of Toronto also has a similar initiative. It's called the Multi-Unit Rental Acquisition Program. The program offers funding to not-for-profit housing providers to purchase and convert private market-rate rental housing into permanent, affordable homes. I know that earlier this year, in February, this program helped St. Jude acquire a building at 1845 Gerrard Street East. Nous voulons que le logement abordable demeure abordable. Et notre gouvernement est vraiment déterminé à développer et transformer le secteur du logement communautaire afin que des organisations comme St. Jude puissent continuer à fournir les logements dont ils ont besoin aux Canadiens, surtout les membres les plus vulnérables de nos communautés. Over the coming days, and in the budget I will be tabling this month, we'll launch more of our no-holds-barred plan to wrestle down the costs of owning or renting a home. We are going to make real the promise of Canada for younger Canadians, and we're going to pull every lever and push every button to deliver more housing without delay. As the mayor said, spring is on the way with its promise of renewal. That is what we are committed to delivering on housing for young Canadians. Our government's renewed focus today is unlocking the door to the middle class for millions of younger Canadians. In everything we do, we dedicate ourselves to making a better life within reach for our younger generations, because that is what you have earned, that is what you deserve. And it's what your parents and grandparents want for you, too. Thank you very much. I think we're ready to answer some questions.
David Ryder from the Toronto Star. A question for Mayor Chow, following on the problems with the vacant home tax and the way people are paying for it. I'm hearing from a lot of people who are angry about the $21 late fee, including those who say that they registered their home as occupied but are still getting hit with the fee and are being asked for proof that they didn't receive an email confirmation. Can you talk about any development in trying to address the problems, and if there's any thought to waiving the fee, as some people are asking?
I have secured an agreement that if they have filed prior to March 15th, they've done everything right, they do not have to pay.
And how do they prove that? Because they were being asked for proof, they just tell the city? Or?
Well, we live in a city full of good people, and in many ways it's an honor system. I don't think people will lie about it. And if they could say that they have filed, perhaps they can show us. They could attest, sign a form saying, I did I did register that I live here, and I did it prior to March 15th, then they would not have to pay the $21.
And I guess But my follow-up was just, that wasn't a real question. I'm just gonna ask anyway. If for the people who pay the $21 fee and say it's the city's screw-up that they didn't know they had to register every year, is there any chance that they'll get the fee waived?
Well, I believe the city did try to tell people that they need to register. Let me tell you this. I understand the frustration. I understand that the shock of getting a notice of how much a person have to pay. I experienced it last year. I was away in Yukon in a long wilderness whitewater trip. So I missed the deadline and I appealed, but getting that form was a shock. And I tried to register, but it was difficult. The system was difficult because initially the website wasn't set up. And I had my row number, but not my customer number, right? On and on and on. So I understand the frustration, the occasional, oh my God, look at this bill. But we're cleaning up this mess. I apologize. By the time I arrived here, the system is already set. I'm seeing the impact of it. It is not acceptable the way that we rolled out this program. It is very new, as you know. I promise you that I will clean this up. So next round, people will not have to line up or would have to get a bill that is shocking. This vacancy home tax is specifically for speculators that are leaving their unit vacant in the middle of a housing crisis. It wasn't planned and developed in a way to harass homeowners that live in their homes. I've lived in my home for 25 plus years, and yet still, I had a problem. So that was last year. But so we will clean it up. We will set it up properly. And this year we're asking Torontonians we're asking for forgiveness. Especially those that cannot speak English or read English, because it should not be only in one language, because there are seniors that may not be able to read English, and they got this bill, they probably didn't understand it, and it's just very scary. So we apologize. We will do better next time.
Hi, Matthew Bingley from Global News. My question is actually for the Deputy Prime
Oh,
Minister.
good.
You can ask the mayor another
I'll get to her in the follow-up.
I don't want to take away the
Deputy Prime
spotlight.
Minister, my question's about Line 2 on the subway. The province issued or committed $750 million in New Deal funding to buy new subway cars, which I'm sure you're aware are very close to their end of life. But that number is contingent on the federal government matching that. Are we going to see something in this budget to actually commit federal dollars to buying new subway cars? Because, you know, time is running out and it will take time to actually order those cars before they're actually running.
Look, thank you very much for the question. I am proud, and particularly proud given that two of my 416 caucus colleagues are here with me. I'm proud to be part of a government that has invested more in cities, that has invested more in the city of Toronto, that has invested more in public transit in Toronto and across Canada than any previous federal government in Canadian history. We believe in our cities, we believe in Toronto, we believe in public transit, and we have walked the walk with historic investments. You have seen us over the past week making further announcements specifically about investments in housing and in housing enabling infrastructure. A lot of that money will go directly to cities, very much including the City of Toronto. So the headline here is the federal government is investing in cities, is investing in Toronto, is investing in the most urgent need, which I believe is housing and does include the infrastructure that enables more homes to be built faster. In terms of other things that will be in the budget, today we are focusing on affordable housing, and that's the announcement I have to make.
Okay, my follow-up is for the mayor.
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor, while you were answering David's question, the sign fell apart behind you there, which you know, could actually
It's
be
CMHC.
kind
No.
of a good analogy for the way the TTC is actually functioning and some of the concerns that you have there. You know,
No, yeah, keep going.
I'm sorry, the laugh was not something I was expecting. So, you know, the Deputy Premier, Prime Minister is obviously talking about affordable housing. How concerned are you that the urgency is not there to actually confirm funding that you need to match that provincial money for these new subway cars?
Anyone living in Toronto, including all the members of parliament that represent and the councillors and MPP that go anywhere near the subway station, will see that we have a lot of work to do, whether it's track work or ceiling in the station that needs to be fixed. There are many things that need repair. We have a huge backlog of work that needs to be done to keep TTC in a, quote, state of good repair, in good shape. So we will work hard at getting the funding, and already the provincial government has stepped up through the New Deal, and they have provided the City of Toronto funding for TTC, and they've also uploaded the Garner and the DVP to assess that. So we have more fiscal room to deal with that, the need of public transit. The federal government also have a fund that have been promised called Permanent Transit Funds. It's due to come out in 2026. Will it be sooner? I don't know. We will watch the budget together on April 16th and see what kind of news we get. But in all the announcement on housing, I saw an acknowledgement about the importance of infrastructure, because that's part of also the announcement that in the last few days. When we heard the word infrastructure, I also interpret that there's an acknowledgement. Infrastructure is not just roads, sewer, etc. It also is social infrastructure and public transit. So we'll see what happens on April 16th.
Hi there, Jean-Loup with CBC Radio-Canada. My question is for the Deputy Prime Minister. So the Ford Motor Company has announced it's delaying its EV production at the Oakville plant until 2027. What do you think of this, and what role does the federal government has to play in either helping the workers or accelerating the restart?
Private sector companies make their own investment decisions based on their own calculations. I do really want to acknowledge that this is an announcement that will make a lot of people anxious and worried. I'd like to highlight for those people and all Canadians that the announcement also emphasized Ford's continued commitment to production in Canada, its continued commitment to EV production in Canada, its real faith in Canada as a great place to build cars, as a great place to build EV cars. And more broadly on electric vehicles, I think it's important for us in Canada, in Ontario, to be really, to take a lot of pride in the way that Canada, very much including Ontario, led by Ontario, in recent months has become one of the world's leading investment destinations for electric vehicles. This is widely recognized. We see companies from around the world pouring more and more money into Ontario to build EVs throughout the supply chain. Canada is a leader in this space, and I have a lot of confidence that we are going to continue to see strong investment in EVs, in the entire EV supply chain, with all of the great jobs that come from that.
Donc, pour l'usine de Oakville, est-ce que le gouvernement fédéral a un rôle à jouer directement dans cette usine pour aider les travailleurs ou même la compagnie?
Merci pour la question et peut-être je vais répéter ma première réponse en français.
Mais
C'est bon?
directement, par exemple.
OK.
Est-ce que le gouvernement fédéral va intervenir dans cette...
Je vais répondre à cette question aussi avec de répétition. Ça va? Alors, on respecte que les entreprises du secteur privé prennent ses propres décisions basées sur le marché, sur ce qu'ils voient. Je comprends également que pour les travailleurs, c'est une annonce qui va inquiéter les gens et on comprend cela. Pour cette raison, je pense que c'est important aussi de souligner que même Ford a souligné leur confiance dans le Canada, leur confiance dans les travailleurs du Canada, dans leur investissement et leur production au Canada et en Ontario, y compris dans les véhicules électriques. C'est très important. En plus, le Canada, l'Ontario est une chef du file dans la production et les investissements dans les véhicules électriques dans le monde. On le voit. On a déjà attiré plusieurs investissements dans ce secteur-là et je suis très confiante qu'on verra plus d'investissements dans les semaines et les mois prochains. Et c'est important parce que grâce à ces investissements dans le secteur électrique et dans toute la chaîne d'approvisionnement pour la production des véhicules électriques, c'est ce que créa des bons emplois pour aujourd'hui et pour demain.
Sur la question spécifique de Oakville, par exemple. Oui, mais elle n'a pas répondu à ma question de suivi, c'est pour ça.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And see, it's really good when we do press conferences because this step benefits both
Both of us, I know.
It's harder when we see the cameramen appreciate it, right? Because otherwise we vanish behind. Thank you.
It's only
Thank you.
just like that.
Okay.
Thank you.